Earth had been a ghost in the galaxy, its name whispered only in legend and dismissed in council chambers. Empires believed it lost, its people extinct, a cautionary tale of a species that had failed to survive. They were wrong. Humanity had endured, hidden in shadows, evolving in silence, learning, adapting, and preparing. Time had not weakened them, it had honed them into something no empire could ever control, a signal, faint and trembling across the void, pulsed from a distant system under siege. Desperation carried it across light years, a plea for aid from those who had nowhere else to turn. The galaxy paused, unsure who, or what, could respond. And then, from the darkness, the Deadworlder fleet emerged. Ships of all sizes glowed with spectral blue, arcs of fighters spiraling in perfect formations, carriers projecting protective matrices, frigates flanking with surgical precision. Humanity had returned, not to plead, not to negotiate, but to assert a presence that could not be ignored. Alien armadas detected them and recalculated in panic. Targeting systems faltered, drones twisted helplessly through subspace, and even the most advanced AI could not comprehend the scale, speed, and coordination of the fleet. The humans did not fire. Their engines pulsed steadily, their shields shimmered with quiet authority, and every ship moved with the patience and inevitability of predators who had mastered survival beyond reckoning. Nebulae and distant stars reflected in the fleet's hulls, casting the void in spectral blues and purples, painting a silent testament to humanity's return. Centuries of exile had taught them that respect was earned, and fear was the language they spoke most fluently. The galaxy had believed Earth lost, but the Deadworlders had waited, observing, planning, and emerging at the moment when their presence would unmake assumptions and rewrite the rules. Every sensor reading, every observation post, every alien commander recognized the same undeniable truth. Humans had survived, they had evolved, and their return was not a request but a declaration. The galaxy would learn, in the coming hours, that a species that had endured 1,000 years in exile could no longer be contained. Earth's absence had been temporary, but humanity's mastery was eternal. The Deadworlder fleet moved through the void with an inevitability that felt almost alive. Each ship, from the smallest fighter to the immense lead warship, traced arcs of lethal precision, engines pulsing a spectral blue that illuminated asteroid belts and shattered satellites. Carriers projected protective matrices with perfect geometry, frigates flanked with surgical exactness, and fighter wings carved intricate spirals around their formations. This was not merely movement, it was a display of centuries of refinement, survival, and strategy, a choreography born from 1,000 years of exile and preparation. Humanity had returned as apex predators of the cosmos, a force no empire could hope to counter. Alien fleets scrambled with frantic efficiency. Drones surged forward, shields hummed to life, and automated command systems spun calculations at impossible speeds. Every prediction failed. Targeting arrays returned contradictory readings, drones twisted helplessly in warped subspace, and even the most advanced AI systems faltered under the humans' flawless coordination. The fleet did not need to fire a single shot, its presence alone radiated authority, strategy, and inevitability. Every subtle adjustment, every measured shift of a frigate, spoke of a species that had learned patience, foresight, and lethal efficiency. At the fleet center, the lead human warship glided with hypnotic authority. Its angular hull, scarred from battles long hidden from the galaxy's memory, reflected distant stars and nebulae in fractured spectral patterns. Shields bent light into intricate fractals, engines pulsed with a steady rhythm, and surrounding vessels moved as extensions of a single consciousness, reinforcing strengths, anticipating weaknesses, and neutralizing threats before they emerged. Observers, alien commanders and AI systems alike, felt the crushing weight of human mastery. This was not combat. It was strategy incarnate, intellect made manifest, patience weaponized. Through subspace channels, a calm, resonant voice carried, "You have observed. You have measured. And yet, you hesitate. Humanity does not yield. Step aside, or witness the consequences of underestimating the Deadworlders." Alien pride faltered. Hesitation rippled across entire fleets, and algorithms designed for war collapsed under invisible pressure. The Deadworlder's dominance was evident in their coordination, anticipation, and silent authority. Fighter wings wove lethal spirals through enemy formations, carriers maintained protective arcs with flawless precision, and frigates flanked like shadows of inevitability. Every alien maneuver was anticipated, every potential advantage neutralized before it could manifest. Nebulae glowed in spectral blues and violets, reflecting the human fleet's engines and casting the darkness in an almost sacred light. The galaxy had assumed humanity extinct, but the Deadworlders demonstrated the immutable truth. Humans had survived, evolved, and returned not to negotiate, but to assert mastery. Earth's seat among the stars had never been empty, and the species that never begged for acceptance was finally reclaiming its place with power that no empire could contain. The void itself seemed to hold its breath, awaiting the next deliberate movement of a species that had rewritten the rules of survival. Strategy and dominance across the galaxy. The Deadworlder fleet pressed further into the galaxy, a river of steel, light, and calculated motion threading through the void. Every vessel, from the smallest scout to the colossal lead warship, moved with precision that seemed almost supernatural. Engines pulsed spectral blue, casting trails that reflected off shattered satellites, drifting asteroids, and nebula clouds glowing in violet and gold. Fighter wings weaved lethal spirals around carriers, frigates flanked with surgical exactness, and every ship responded instantly to the movements of its companions. Humanity did not advance as a fleet, it advanced as a single, living entity. A predator species that had survived extinction, exile, and the indifference of the stars, alien fleets scrambled, issuing commands in waves of desperation. Automated drones surged forward, energy shields flared to life, and calculations spun at impossible speeds. Yet every measure failed. Targeting arrays returned corrupted or contradictory data, subspace channels overloaded, and even the most advanced AI systems could not comprehend the fleet's coordination. Each human ship moved with perfect anticipation, turning the galaxy's most advanced fleets into observers of inevitability. There was no panic in the Deadworlder fleet, no reckless aggression, only patient, flawless precision. As if every movement had been rehearsed across centuries of preparation, the lead warship floated at the center of the formation, massive, angular, and scarred from conflicts that had never been recorded in galactic annals. Its engines pulsed with calm authority, shields bending starlight into fractal patterns, hull reflecting nebulae and distant stars in spectral brilliance. Every surrounding vessel moved as if it were part of a single consciousness, each reinforcing the fleet's strengths, anticipating weaknesses, and neutralizing potential threats before they could arise. Observers, alien and automated alike, felt the oppressive weight of human mastery. This was strategy incarnate. Intellect made manifest, patience weaponized as a weapon more precise than any laser or missile. Through subspace channels, the human voice carried with quiet, unwavering authority, "You have observed. You have calculated. And yet, you hesitate. Humanity does not act recklessly. We do not yield. Respect survival, or face the consequences of underestimating the Deadworlders." Even the most confident alien commanders faltered. Pride collided with instinct, hesitation rippled through fleets, and protocols designed for dominance collapsed in the face of invisible pressure. Humanity had demonstrated dominance without firing a single shot, showing that intellect, strategy, and patience could achieve mastery where weapons alone would fail. Fighter wings carved intricate spirals through enemy formations, carriers held protective arcs with perfect geometry, frigates flanked like shadows of inevitability. Every alien maneuver was anticipated, every advantage nullified before it could manifest. Nebulae shimmered in spectral blues, violets, and deep oranges, casting the fleet in an almost divine light. Stars reflected in the hulls like silent witnesses, chronicling the return of a species that had defied extinction. Every observation post, every alien fleet, every automated command system recorded the same immutable truth. Humans were hunters, apex predators of the cosmos, and their presence alone would echo across the galaxy for generations. The Deadworlder fleet advanced steadily, engines pulsing with quiet rhythm, moving not to destroy but to assert, to demonstrate that survival, patience, and strategic mastery had elevated humanity to a level no empire could ever contain. The galaxy had assumed Earth gone forever, but humanity had returned, stronger, sharper, and unyielding. The void itself seemed to pulse in acknowledgement, awaiting the next deliberate movement of a species that had rewritten the rules of survival, dominance, and inevitability across the stars. The Deadworlder fleet moved like a tide of inevitability, threading through asteroid fields and shattered moons, a living testament to human ingenuity and discipline. Every vessel, from the tiniest scout to the immense lead warship, traced arcs of perfection, engines pulsing spectral blue that lit the darkness in ghostly, mesmerizing patterns. Fighter wings twisted and spiraled around carriers, frigates flanked with surgical precision, and every movement of the fleet radiated centuries of survival, adaptation, and strategic mastery. Humanity had returned not merely to be seen, but to assert dominance in a galaxy that had long assumed their extinction. Alien armadas scrambled, alarms flaring across command decks, drones deploying in waves, and automated systems spinning calculations at impossible speeds. Yet every countermeasure failed. Targeting arrays returned corrupted readings. Drones twisted helplessly in subspace currents, and even the most sophisticated AI faltered under the Deadworlder's perfect coordination. The fleet did not fire a single weapon, yet every enemy command structure understood the unshakable reality. Humanity commanded the field, and the void itself bent to their precision. Every subtle adjustment of a frigate, every calculated repositioning of a carrier, radiated control, authority, and lethal elegance. The lead warship moved at the fleet center, massive, angular, and scarred from battles long hidden in memory. Its engines pulsed a hypnotic rhythm, shields bent starlight into fractal patterns, and surrounding vessels moved as if extensions of a single consciousness. Fighter wings wove intricate spirals, carriers projected flawless protective arcs, frigates flanked like living shadows of inevitability. Alien observers, both commanders and AI systems, felt the oppressive weight of human mastery. The fleet was not merely present, it dictated the flow of battle without aggression. Intellect and strategy manifest in every movement. Through subspace channels, the human voice resonated with calm authority. You have measured. You have observed. And yet, you hesitate. Humanity does not yield. Step aside, or learn the consequences of underestimating the Deadworlders. Alien pride faltered. Hesitation rippled through fleets, and even the most confident commanders realized that centuries of planning, patience, and intelligence had been underestimated. Fighter wings carved deadly arcs, carriers maintained impenetrable formations, and frigates maneuvered with surgical perfection. Every attempted flanking, every aggressive approach by alien fleets was anticipated and nullified before it could begin. Nebulae glowed in ethereal shades of blue, violet, and orange, casting the fleet in almost divine light. Stars reflected in hulls like witnesses to humanity's return, chronicling the resurgence of a species that had endured exile for 1,000 years and emerged as apex predators. Every observation post, every command system, every alien fleet recognized the truth: humans had survived, evolved, and returned not to negotiate, but to assert mastery across the stars. The Deadworlder fleet pressed onward, engines pulsing with steady rhythm, moving not to destroy, but to demonstrate that humanity's mastery of space, strategy, and patience could not be contained. Every civilization that had assumed Earth empty would learn that the species that never begged for acceptance now commanded attention, respect, and fear. The void itself seemed to hold its breath, awaiting the next deliberate movement of a species that had rewritten the rules of survival, dominance, and inevitability across the galaxy. The Deadworlder fleet advanced deeper into the galaxy's contested expanse. A flowing river of steel, light, and calculated motion threading through the void. Every ship, from the smallest scout to the colossal lead warship, moved with an inevitability that seemed almost alive. Engines pulsed spectral blue, casting radiant trails across shattered moons, drifting asteroids, and swirling nebulae. Fighter wings twisted in intricate, lethal spirals around carriers, frigates flanked with surgical precision, and each vessel responded instantly to the movements of its companions. Humanity had returned not merely to exist in the galaxy, but to dominate it, a predator species whose exile had refined patience, strategy, and intellect into weapons more precise than any energy beam. Alien fleets scrambled in desperate coordination. Drones surged forward, shields hummed into life, and command systems churned calculations at impossible speeds. Yet every attempt to oppose the Deadworlders failed. Targeting arrays malfunctioned, AI-driven fleets twisted helplessly in subspace, and every projected advantage crumbled under the humans' flawless anticipation. The Deadworlder fleet moved not with haste, but with controlled inevitability, every adjustment a testament to centuries of preparation, every shift a demonstration of superiority. Humanity's return was a message, clear and undeniable: the species that had endured 1,000 years of exile could not be stopped. At the fleet center, the lead warship moved like the heartbeat of a living organism. Its angular, battle-scarred hull reflected distant stars and nebulae in fractured, spectral patterns. Engines pulsed a calm, hypnotic rhythm, shields bending starlight into intricate fractals. Surrounding vessels moved as extensions of a single consciousness, reinforcing strengths, anticipating weaknesses, neutralizing threats before they could emerge. Alien observers felt the crushing weight of human mastery. The fleet was not merely a force, it was strategy incarnate, intellect made manifest, patience weaponized. Through subspace channels, a voice resonated, calm and unwavering: you have measured. You have calculated. And yet, you hesitate. Humanity does not act recklessly. We do not yield. Respect survival, or witness the consequences of underestimating the Deadworlders. Alien commanders faltered. Pride collided with instinct. Hesitation rippled through fleets, and protocols designed for supremacy collapsed under invisible pressure. The Deadworlders displayed dominance without a single shot, proving that intellect, strategy, and patience could achieve mastery where weapons alone would fail. Fighter wings carved complex spirals through enemy formations, carriers maintained protective arcs of perfect geometry, frigates flanked with lethal elegance. Every attempted maneuver by alien fleets was anticipated and neutralized before it could begin. Nebulae shimmered in spectral blues, violets, and fiery oranges, illuminating the fleet with an ethereal glow. Stars reflected in the hulls like silent witnesses, chronicling the return of a species long thought extinct. Observation posts, alien fleets, and automated command systems alike registered the immutable truth: humans were apex predators of the cosmos, hunters of inevitability, and their presence would echo across the galaxy for generations. The Deadworlder fleet pressed onward, engines pulsing with measured rhythm, advancing not to destroy but to assert. Each calculated movement reshaped the notion of dominance in the galaxy. Every civilization that had dismissed humanity would learn, in the coming moments, that the species which never begged for acceptance had returned, flawless, unyielding, and unstoppable. The void itself seemed to shiver in recognition, anticipating each deliberate movement of a species that had survived 1,000 years, mastered space, and returned to claim the stars. The Deadworlder fleet flowed through the darkness of space like a force of inevitability, a living testament to human mastery. Every ship, from the smallest scout to the immense lead warship, moved with flawless precision. Engines pulsed spectral blue, casting ethereal trails across shattered moons, drifting asteroids, and nebula clouds that glowed in violet, gold, and deep indigo. Fighter wings twisted in spiraling arcs around carriers, frigates flanked with surgical exactness, and each vessel responded instantly to the movements of its companions. Humanity had returned not to beg for recognition, not to negotiate, but to assert its dominance across a galaxy that had long assumed Earth lost. Alien fleets scrambled in frantic waves. Automated drones surged forward, energy shields hummed into life, and command systems recalculated trajectories at impossible speeds. Yet every measure failed. Targeting arrays returned corrupted or contradictory readings, subspace channels warped, and the most advanced AI systems faltered under the humans' perfect coordination. Each human vessel moved with careful anticipation, turning the galaxy's most formidable fleets into helpless observers of inevitability. There was no reckless aggression, no panic, only the measured, lethal precision of a species that had mastered patience, intellect, and survival over 1,000 years. At the fleet's heart, the lead warship glided with hypnotic authority. Its angular hull, scarred from centuries of hidden battles, reflected distant stars and nebulae in fractured, spectral patterns. Shields bent starlight into intricate fractals, engines pulsed with a steady rhythm, and surrounding vessels moved as extensions of a single consciousness, reinforcing strengths, anticipating weaknesses, and neutralizing threats before they could arise. Alien commanders and AI systems alike felt the weight of human mastery. This was not combat, it was strategy made flesh, intellect weaponized, and patience sharpened into inevitability. Through subspace channels, a calm, resonant voice carried across the void, "You have measured. You have calculated. And yet, you hesitate. Humanity does not act recklessly. We do not yield. Respect survival, or face the consequences of underestimating the Deadworlders." Even the most confident alien fleets faltered. Pride collided with instinct, hesitation rippled through armadas, and protocols designed to ensure supremacy collapsed under invisible pressure. Humanity demonstrated dominance without firing a single shot, proving that intellect and strategy could impose mastery where weapons alone would fail. Fighter wings carved intricate spirals through enemy formations, carriers maintained protective arcs with perfect geometry, and frigates maneuvered like shadows of inevitability. Every attempted maneuver by alien forces was anticipated and neutralized before it could even begin. Nebulae shimmered in spectral blues, violets, and fiery oranges, casting the human fleet in almost divine light. Stars reflected in the hulls like silent witnesses, chronicling the return of a species long thought extinct. Observation posts, alien fleets, and automated systems all recognized the same immutable truth: humans were apex predators of the cosmos. Hunters of inevitability, and their presence alone would echo across the galaxy for generations. The Deadworlder fleet advanced, engines pulsing with quiet rhythm, moving not to destroy but to assert. Each deliberate movement reshaped the very concept of dominance and authority in the galaxy. Every civilization that had dismissed humanity would learn, in that moment, that the species which never begged for acceptance had returned, flawless, unyielding, and unstoppable. The void itself seemed to pulse in acknowledgement, awaiting each calculated maneuver, each decisive advance, as a species that had survived 1,000 years finally reclaimed its place among the stars.